Today, we're diving into financier Frank Giustra's pretty provocative thesis on the future of money. We're talking about a global financial showdown and what he calls gold's final explosive phase. It's a huge story that connects a crumbling dollar, a rising China, and an epic battle for the ultimate safe haven asset. You know, this quote from Giustra really gets to the heart of it all. For him, this isn't just about market trends or cycles. Nope, it's about protecting your wealth from what he sees as a totally inevitable system failure, driven by, you guessed it, human stupidity. It's a powerful and, frankly, pretty stark way to kick things off. All right, so where does this all kick off? Well, for Giustra, it starts with what he sees as the fundamental problem, a U.S. financial system that, in his view, is just teetering on the edge of a cliff. Giustra really doesn't mince words here. He flat out describes the U.S. political and financial system as broken, as corrupt, and as heading for disaster. He calls it a path to perdition. In his mind, the people in charge simply don't have the will to fix problems that are too deep. Now, take a look at this number, $150 trillion. That is the Congressional Budget Office's own projection for U.S. debt by the year 2055. Giustra just calls this a stupid number. He basically argues the system will implode long before it could ever possibly get there. And this is where the whole geopolitical angle really comes into play. According to Giustra, the U.S. has been using the dollar as a weapon more and more. I mean, think about it. A third of the entire world is now under U.S. sanctions. What that's done is give all these countries a massive incentive to find an escape hatch. And he says this has put that de-dollarization trend into absolute overdrive. Okay, so if the dollar system is showing cracks, what's waiting in the wings? As confidence starts to fade, Giustra believes an alternative system is being quietly built in the East, with China leading the charge and gold right at its very core. I love this. Giustra has these two great acronyms to explain this whole shift. For decades, the mantra for the US dollar was TINA. There is no alternative, right? But now, he argues, we're seeing the rise of tuna, the ugly, newer alternative. It might not be pretty, but it's an alternative, and that's what matters. So what's the engine behind this new system? Giustra points directly at something called Mbridge. Think of it as a platform for central bank digital currencies that lets countries like China, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE settle trades directly with each other, completely bypassing the US dollar and the entire Western banking system. It's a huge deal. And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures the difference in strategy he's talking about. On one hand, you've got the US coming out swinging with threats and sanctions. But on the other hand, Giustra sees China playing rope-a-dope, just patiently, quietly, building the infrastructure for a whole new financial world. So here's the playbook he lays out. Step 1, roll out Mbridge as the new digital superhighway. Step 2, you solve the big problem of what do I do with all this Chinese yuan I'm accumulating by letting countries swap it for real, physical gold on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. And step 3, you flip the script entirely by creating new, trusted gold vaults in the East, pulling the entire center of financial gravity away from New York and London. All right, so this whole global chess match brings us to a really fascinating showdown, a conflict between two very different assets that are both gunning for that safe haven title, gold and Bitcoin. And for Giustra, it all comes down to who is backing each horse in this race. On one side, you've got gold, the choice of what he calls real power. We're talking central banks quietly stacking bars of it behind the scenes. And on the other side, you've got Bitcoin, which he sees as this mainstream media darling that acts a lot more like a volatile tech stock than a true store of value. And this chart just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you have the world's non-G7 central banks just gobbling up massive amounts of physical gold. And on the other, you've got the mainstream media and politicians pushing Bitcoin relentlessly. So Giustra's question is pretty simple. Whose lead are you going to follow? And this right here is the absolute core of his beef with the whole digital gold story. He says that in a real crisis, a risk-off environment when things get scary and investors are running for safety, Bitcoin's price tends to tank right alongside other speculative stuff. In his view, it just doesn't behave like gold, which has been that stable rock in the middle of all that chaos for centuries. So, where is all of this headed? Where's the end game? Well, according to Giustra, we are stepping into what he calls the third, and what he predicts will be the most dramatic phase of a gold bull market that actually started more than 50 years ago. And to back this up, he tells us to just look at the history books. From 1971 to 1981, gold went up 28 times over. Then, from 2001 to 2011, it went up 8 times. His prediction is that this current phase, the one that kicked off in 2019, is going to be the most explosive run we have ever seen, all because of this massive global shift.
But, and this is a huge but, he has a really stark warning. For anyone out there dreaming of $5,000, $10,000 gold, he says, be careful what you wish for. Because a world where gold hits those kinds of prices is not a world you want to live in.
Yeah, a gold price that high doesn't just mean you made a good trade. According to Giestra, it signifies a very bad outcome for all of us. It means the dollar has likely collapsed, a new monetary system is being painfully forged, and the entire global power structure has been turned completely upside down. It means chaos.
And that's really the final kind of chilling question he leaves us with. If he's right, if the price of winning the gold trade is that you have to actually live through the very chaos it's supposed to protect you from, what comes next? What does the future of money even look like on the other side of that explosive phase?